Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, continuing on with my Druid Warlock run in Ireland. Today I'm going to try and found a Celtic Empire. And to do that we will need to control at least 3 of the Kingdom tier titles from these regions. We have Ireland. Scotland is going to present us a bit of trouble. We have established a foothold in Wales. Cornwall is part of the Kingdom of Wales, but it's also being treated separately here, so I'm not too sure how that's going to go. But what my aim at the moment is to get some money together. So we have our army raised. We have just defeated a raiding army. I have turned them to raiders. We're going to send them into Scotland, get some money together. And we're going to look to push down into Cornwall first of all, I think. Now, following our conquest of a part of Powys on the last episode, we are over our domain limit, and of course we saw that our brother was deposed as the King of Ossory. So what I'm going to do, the poor man, I'm going to grant him a title of this region in Scotland. And here is a new champion that I just hired. He was a guest at our court, and he is the son of Neil, Chieftain Neil, Mach A, of Tir Owen. But of course, Tir Owen was taken from him by Orthaluk, so I am going to grant the title of Arguilla. And like I said there towards the end of the last episode, we defeated a raiding army. I have my 2 armies here set to raiding now. So we'll bring them in. Speak of the devil, here's Arthaluk. A good chunk of this region has already been seized down, so we'll do what we can. Well, never you mind about Arthaluk causing trouble. Arthaluk has just died from his wounds, possibly wounds that he received in that war in Powys, because we're almost finished sieging down what's left of Scotland, or raiding it, and he hasn't taken any wounds in that. And not alone have we lost our good friend Orthaluk, but it looks like we are also going to lose our good friend Pangerborn. We will lose Pet Cat. We will lose Rat Hunting Cat. We will lose 50 gold, and we will gain a small tanned hide. Pangerborn will always be by our side. So our friend Orthaluk has died. He was commanding one of these armies. I think he's the only person in the kingdom who knew how to operate siege machinery. That's going to be problematic. Mothadin. Here we have a powerful but very unhappy vassal who we could think about giving a court position to. He's no good at martial. He would be quite a good diplomat, however. Here is Dervla, the chiefess of Connacht, so we're trying to sway her so that we can convert her to Druidism. I think we'll keep her in place at the moment. I think for our marshal, Burnett. I mean, come on, look at that for martial figures. Look at this for a get-up. And the poor man certainly has his work cut out for him in terms of restoring control. I'm going to focus on these regions because they are under the direct control of the High King. So we'll increase control there, and our court druid has just finished converting Arguilla to the Gaelic faith. So I'm going to have him focus on... where next? I think we might try and get Dublin converted. Another thing that I have completely forgotten to do is to add our new artifact. So there is the Fearsome Fox of Ivali, and we will add to the wall the hide of the Black Cat of Difflin. So we return with just under 100 gold and prestige. I'm going to stand down the army I was hoping for a bit more. We need 400 and something to expand the Hall of Heroes in County Meath. Something else has popped up, however, another opportunity. Dunbar had been captured by an adventurer who had about 5,500 troops to their name. This guy has now taken the region with 23 troops. Foolishly, he will not accept vassalization. So we have no alternative. We could conquer the duchy for 375 prestige, or simply conquer county for 75. Our son has learned a language. We've taken a heap of people prisoner, and we will enforce our demands. So we've now actually completed the conquest of southern Scotland effectively, and we're again over our domain limit. So I am going to give my poor brother Phelimid Dunbar as well. And I might see about creating the duchy title if I'm in a position to do so, and granting that to him. The duchy title is actually held by a foreign ruler. It'll cost 250 gold to usurp it from them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off on that for a while. We're going to go on a pilgrimage. Get some piety together. We could go to Uisneach, to Sligo. Where else could we go? I've seen this is Baile na Haglasha, Churchtown, in Scotland. That's 100. Sure. We'll go to Scotland. And while the High King is away on pilgrimage, we're going to start raiding down some areas. He's just taken off, and the High Queen has become pregnant. And we are told about a rude story. So somebody has been telling tales of the High King. And by asking to hear some more, we will lose 24 stress, which will bring us down pretty close to fully de-stressed. We have arrived, body and soul, at Baile na Haglasha, which is what it would be in Irish. I'm not too sure how that would be pronounced in Scots Gaelic. So we gain 375 piety, and we gain the trait Pilgrim. Now we've just gotten an event that has brought us closer to Chiefess Dervla. So rare to find a true friend. So we become friends, which is fantastic because we want to try to convert her to Druidism, because she is one of the most powerful vassals in the kingdom. She has a significant army. She could cause problems, especially if she starts an insularist rebellion. So we'll see if we can get her conversion, and there actually, because we became friends, a faction is after collapsing. And she has indeed decided to follow us into the light and convert to Gaelic. Now, this is a bit interesting. Dervla has just converted to Gaelic Druidism and has called the Tuatha Danann into a war. So somebody in Desmond, Godwin, is rebelling against her. So she inherited Desmond, and then she granted it to Godwin of Northampton, Godwin of Desmond of Northampton, or Godwin of Northampton of Desmond. And now she's taken it back from him. Well, no, he's rebelling. So he's been met with... He was already in a bad position before this. Maybe she's trying to revoke it from him. But, I don't know what she's at. We have just arrived back home with 115 gold. We ransomed out 2 babies for 25 each, and another 105 gold. This has been a fantastic, fantastic trip around this area. So what I'm going to use that money to do, it's going to put us in a position where we won't have much left over, but we will complete the Hall of Heroes. It'll give us extra levies, extra garrison, It will increase our personal prowess by 2, and we will gain extra piety from knights. So that's 445 gold. Already, the Devils, they've just seen combat for the first time, and they're looking for more land. Fellow servant of the Divine Mother. As our order of the Tuatha grow, we need more land from which to organise our defence of the Gaelic faith. So they want someplace in Lothian. They'll give me 150 gold, and I'm going to accept, because I had started raiding to get a bit more money together. But I think we can kind of cut that short now, and just siege down 1 or 2 more areas. I was going to push down here and take some casualties, but we don't need to do that. Oh, Phalamede, you absolute disaster. So Phalamede did at least have 2 sons, since I gave him the regions here. However, Diarmid has inherited this county, his eldest son, who is the ruler of Ossory. His second eldest son now has Dunbar. So it's been a bit of a chaotic mess in this region. Phalamede, the booze destroyed him. The booze absolutely destroyed him. Find secrets. The baby could hardly have done it. Where'll we put the up here? We'll see if we can find out what the hell is going on. Now, I remembered that our brother Phalamede used to be our spy master at one stage, and I was looking at his stats, and they were a 12, and I was thinking, wow, he must have lost a lot of intrigue skill from being an alcoholic. 12 is the exact same as our current spy master, Conan, and it's 1 less than Owen Mac Arthurlock. So we might install him. His father was our marshal. Owen will now serve as our spy master. That's another powerful vassal kept happy. And Owen's first day on the job, we're telling him we're sending a 16-year-old to figure out who killed our brother. No pressure. After the death of our brother and the various raids we've had to go on to get some money together to stabilize our finances, we're finally in a position to start expanding again. We can see the Isles is actually trying to take the entire centre of Scotland, so that could help with our attempts to take this region. We're going to focus on the other end of the country. So the Danelaw has actually lost a Cornwall, which is what we're going to attack. They have a sizable army, but nothing in comparison to what we're able to wield between our own forces, our alliances, and if we could call in the Tuatha Danann if necessary. And we're just going to go for an attempt to conquer the duchy. We could declare a holy war for the duchy. Is there a kingdom of... So we could go for the Kingdom of Wales title, which would just give us that chunk down there. I think we'll hold off on that for now. And quite simply, we will declare war to take the Jarldom of Cornwall. Now, we have an ability to march our forces down in this direction. However, we can first of all actually start by attacking this region. So even though we're going for Cornwall, we might very well raise our forces in Scotland and move them south. We have the ability to get a new lifestyle perk. I'm going to go for True Ruler. Offer vassalization acceptance will go up 20. I'm not too sure that's going to have much of an effect, however, as a result of the fact that most people are like minus 200 because we're of a different faith. We could go back to learning. I think this is what we might indeed do. The High King is 53 years of age. His health is fine. But we might do our usual medicine focus. And focus on whole of body. So, our spy master is telling us that he has no evidence of any misdoings in Chieftain Diarmid's court. Very well. For now then, we will send Owen to the capital. And we'll see maybe if somebody in the wider court had some responsibility. Our stress has gone up quite a lot because we have outlived one of our many, many, many children. Mothadon, our second son, with the ruler of Leinster. So we still have a son, Eoin, who will one day rule this region, and actually they will rule up here as well. So that would have been Mothadon's land. Now the king has actually had a number of children within the last couple of years. So his eldest child is 28, and his youngest is 2 children born this year, and at least 1 last year. So he's had a number of children in the last couple of years. But yeah, he has outlived one of them, who was ill. And because of the death of that child, we'd better hold a hunt just to keep the stress some way manageable. Oh god, Glason. The heir to the kingdom. Our son-in-law. He's after killing Thorlock. 61% chance that people will believe us. Or we could try and cover it up. 55% chance. Or we will have to expose his secret. We'll see if we can get this success here. Everyone believes me. Why would they doubt me? Some of us return from the hunt reinvigorated. We have finally found the enemy armies. I'm not too sure where they are and aren't going. We could actually hit some of them. So we've completed the sieges up here. They have one army that's kind of lost, and I think we could probably take on these armies. So we've had a third son with the ruler of Leinster. One of them died recently. Muel Runa, may Danu grant you long life. We've actually hit one of the 2 armies. Our councillor, Muel Morda, has died. I thought that might have been that he died in battle. He was also our physician. Owen is telling us that he hasn't found any more secrets. This is a bit worrying. We will tell him to continue for now. That's a hefty defeat, sent them packing. We will move this army in this direction. And we might bring these guys over here, see if they can hit the smaller armies. Oh, they actually didn't all get out in time, so we're being able to pull them apart piecemeal. Glason, our son-in-law and successor, wishes to visit us, bringing gifts of gold. Please enter. Deposit the gold on your left. So we have another battle. So many pop-ups. So without actually offering battle to them, we've managed to push out and into Leinster. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. The enemy army, they were sieging down this area, and we've managed to push them out. And here indeed we have been told with the last while about threats of an uprising, and here it is. I didn't actually think they were in a position to oppose us, but a peasant's lot is to serve their lord. Rally the troops. So one of them has already actually parachuted down on top of us. I won't lie, I thought that said 3,500. So they started... Do you know what? I think you guys were very silly. So we've sent our forces across into Leinster. Spend some money. Are they going to spend some money going out to sea again? Great. Great. it's just going to be back and forth, isn't it? I suppose the reason that we're having these rebellions is because we've lost about 2,000 troops. We have a max of 8,000, but we only had about 6,300, 6,600 when this started. So we've lost about a third of the army that started from attrition. And that's pretty much why these battles are actually happening. I'm raising one of my sons, Murakon. We will have him stay as generous. Ooh, this mightn't be great. We've accidentally dropped into a region where some forces were just about to retreat from. I was trying to sway this chieftain in an attempt to get him to convert. That's not going to happen now because I think he's just had his head ripped off. And Dervla has died at the same time. She's died from her wounds, Dervla, who's been causing a bit of trouble over in this region. I think it maybe wasn't a great idea to focus on these counties to start with. I think we should have gone for the war goal from the start. That might have been a better idea. So Dervla was serving as our chancellor, and now the highest ranking powerful vassal is Glasson. So I'm going to assign him as our new chancellor. It will give him some prestige before he takes over as High King. And just before one of our regions was sieged down, we've managed to claim enough of the war goal that we can bring this war to an end and enforce our demands. With the amount of money that we've gained during that war from ransoming out prisoners, I'm going to use 99 of it to upgrade our gathering halls in Meath. Will give us some extra levies, control growth, increase in the county, and prestige. We can see that the Isles have done some great work in expanding our foothold into Scotland. But our army has been absolutely decimated. Like I said, we had just over 2,000 losses, so we're going to need to wait for those numbers to come back up before we can do much else. Then again, I don't think we need to wait to get them up to the full 9,500. And I don't know how it's after happening, but the first thing that has happened is that we have lost part of Cornwall. This is going to take forever. We will just conquer the county. We've taken Cornwall, but we're just about to lose Dunbar. We have more than enough troops to take them on, it's just that they're so spread out. The area that we're attacking is so spread out, so what I'm going to do is, for the first time, I'm going to hire the Tuatha Dé Danann for nothing. Now, it's actually possible that we didn't need to hire the Tuatha Dé Danann because the enemy has come to us with a bit of a disembarkation penalty. Hopefully they will still have that by the time we hit them. I don't think so. Still telling us that we have an advantage. Could well lose some knights, however. Chieftain Glasson has wounded somebody, which means that Glasson is involved with the army here. That's maybe not great. That's how many knights that we've lost in the last couple of encounters, that Glasson has been promoted into the ranks. Our daughter is after calling a holy war. Speaking of Glasson's wife, we will accept. We're kind of a bit busy at the moment. Now, they have re-landed. They are withdrawing, though. That is the only good thing. They have withdrawn. We've pushed them back far enough. We've taken Somerset. I have the Tuatha Dé Danann sieging the north of their holdings. We can hopefully bring this to an end. Let's see where they're actually sending those forces. That's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. Bring them onto land and let me fight them. Speaking of the Tuatha Dé Danann, they have actually been hit by an army and are on the verge of being driven back. How has a battle for a single county turned into this much of a mess? Now, as we occupy the war goal, The score has been ticking up. We bring one of our wars to an end. And our knight and marshal, who I had put in charge of the Tuatha Dé Danann, he has died as a result of his wounds that he suffered in this battle. So that was a bit of a disaster. We don't have any great powerful vassals to put in there. So here is a very strong commander. Not gonna lie, I have no idea who he is. And because we're above our domain limit again, after taking so long to actually conquer Cornwall, I thought this would be an easy conflict. We're going to give Cornwall over to the ruler of Devon. He has 2 daughters. I'm sure this won't cause any difficulty in this region. Our daughter is actually managing to hold off against a number of rather large armies in this region. Our court druid, Giliforic, has just died, so this is the second court druid we've lost in a fairly short length of time. Molina has fairly good stats. We've converted Dublin, and they're working on Breffni now at the moment, but Breffni has a resistance to conversion, but it will convert in 13 months. It looks entirely possible that it is too late for us to actually do anything. Like I said, our daughter's armies have been doing a good job. We should have brought these troops onto the other side, but I thought we might need to actually help over here. So we're going to lose some troops as we go through this region. We're sending across what is left of our army and the Tuatha Dé Danann. We're trying to hunt down some forces into the mountains. We've hit somebody. One of our champions has been killed again. The future of the kingdom, our son-in-law, is actually in this army. Well, there you go. The High King has died. I was kind of starting to expect it. He was 59 years of age, even though we were going down that lifestyle route, the health-focused lifestyle route, and we had gone down a bit of that route, but we hadn't gotten any of the major health modifiers. He wasn't overly stressed, but he has indeed died. He has been ritually decapitated and thrown into a peat bog at 60 years of age. He died as a result of his alleged witchcraft. You say that like it's a bad thing. Known for spending most of his nights in his laboratory, he was believed by many to be nothing more than a warlock. It was well known he was a warlock. He was the only warlock that showed up to the Warlock Convention, concocting unholy spells in the secrecy of his castle. High King Glason ascends to the throne, having mastered many skills. He is sure to be admired by his subjects. Continue playing as High King Glason. That war in Cornwall bogged us down so much. What are the titles? We've retained the Kingdom of Ireland. We've lost Meath, which I don't fully understand because I had made this the capital. So I don't know what he's actually inherited, if anything. I think he just has Duchy of Meath. We'll check this in a second. This is strange. So yeah, there's all the many sons of the High King. We'll see where he stood in the lineage. So he ruled for 37 years, which was the longest period of any of his predecessors. He founded a faith. He was the cultural head. He was exalted among men. He was a religious icon and a theologian. So we will continue on as High King Glason. So yeah, we have indeed lost the County of Meath with its Hall of Heroes. We're still the Duke of Meath, which isn't really good for much. And all we have is Dalgosh, which is one of his holdings. Our brother, well, Moel Owen's brother, Phelimid, abdicated, and Glosson took the region at that stage, so that's kind of awkward. Our court is completely abandoned. We will appoint Owen as the... We'll see what kind of skills we have for Spymaster. Do you know what? We'll put our father in as Spymaster. We will give Owen the position of Chancellor and Steward. Don't have any great stewards at the moment. I think we'll give it to this guy just to keep him happy for a while. We don't need to worry about upping our domain holdings at the moment. Glosson is a diplomat. He's already finished the family hierarch tree. Do you know what? That's maybe not the worst. I don't know if I would have gone for that. He still actually has to finish off patriarch. I don't know if I would have gone for that otherwise. So do you know what? Maybe it's best that that he worked on this himself. And I think we're going to take Majesty focus. We're having a fairly tough time keeping Ireland converted. So we were working on Breffni, or Moel Owen was working on Breffni. That has failed. Sligo has reverted. Ir Connacht has reverted. It's embarrassing that we rule that the capital isn't a part of the Gaelic faith. However, it is taking 14 years to convert. Our first major priority is trying to bring this war to an end, which our wife has just pretty much achieved. There you go, victory. And just days after his coronation as the High King of Ireland, Glosson, building on the back of his father-in-law's work and the work of the Isles in taking the centre of Scotland, is in a position to spend quite a lot of money to usurp the kingdom of Alba. So the court has been completely redecorated. We've somehow ended up with quite a number of new artifacts, possibly from usurping the throne of Scotland. We have here in the court Excalibur, and beside it we're going to put Excalibur. Over here we have a branch of the Tree of Life, and beside that we're going to put a Holy Nail. And we have some rather interesting large wall ornaments. We have the Céad Cathach dynasty banner, a famed large wall ornament. Would we put this at the centre of the court? Well, then again, we are members of the Onacht dynasty, and Owen Moore was the grandson of Con Céad Cathach. So yeah, I think we'd put this on the wall. I don't know if we actually fulfill the requirements, however. That's the dynasty banner. I'm wondering if it would be cool to have the Alpin house banner on the wall as well, comparing it to either the Onacht Rahlan dynasty banner or the house banner. I don't think it does all that much, and we have more statues. So this is the statue that we built, and here is another one. We're going to stick it beside the fireplace. With all the court artifacts that we have, we're going to have to appoint an antiquarian. Gilacomon, we don't really have anyone great for the position at the moment. Now, we do have a lot of money, however, I could do with a bit more. So we're going to start a couple of raids. And the worst thing is that we are actually being raided by an army that's pretty much bigger than what we can put together at the moment. We are also getting threats of dangerous factions. My wife is threatening to rebel against me. She is being supported by Owen in Tir Connell and Angus Mac Moel Owen of Meath. So that would be her brother that, of course, has the most important part of our kingdom. Owen, I'm disappointed in you. Things have actually gotten off to a bit of a bad start. We have been hit by an English army. We did manage to get bits of gold from around these regions, but I split up the army, sent them in two different directions. We could have taken on that English army if we were combined, but Glasson is making foolish mistakes in the earliest days of his rule. Lacking the support of his vassals, seeing Druidism retreat in many parts of the country, threatened with rebellions, and wearing the crown of Ireland and Scotland maybe a bit unsteadily, Glasson is going to attempt to succeed where his predecessor failed in holding a grand right to contact the Cailleach. Let the right begin. Hopefully somebody shows up this time. No. Not one soul has accepted my invitation. Well, there you go. And after our failure to hold a grand right, our antiquarian Gilacomon has died of embarrassment. With the money that we've gathered from a short tour of Wales, we're going to wait first of all for the armies to recover a bit before we go on another incursion into England, and we are going to upgrade the gathering halls in County Clare in the lands of the Dalgash. Again, we're getting just absolutely bizarre numbers over here. I'm not too sure what's actually happening. I'm going to increase the size of the armoured footmen by 1. I'm going to increase this to 5. But then we're going to get rid of this one. And see about creating something else. I might throw in some light footmen. Or light horsemen. We are now in a situation where if we want to get anything done in terms of expanding, we're going to need to get our prestige up to illustrious. And we have a long way to get there. Illustrious will allow us to declare war for duchies. So can we do it through raiding? We're sure as hell going to try. And we have just been told that our father has died. Our new successor, because we haven't appointed one, is Moyle Owen, and we have inherited the county of Eve Valley, just as we're trying to not lose any troops in this region. Our poor old father. He was serving as our spy master. Our secondary wife is actually in a pretty good position to take on that role. And that's very well who I might appoint. I'm not going to be putting you in there. So our wife is delighted, our secondary wife is delighted with her appointment to Spymaster. We will at some stage have to try and figure out who we are going to appoint as our successor, both in Munster and for the High Kingship. For now, we'll just continue raiding places down. And all of a sudden we find ourselves in the middle of a war zone. Now we find ourselves in a war zone. It's entirely possible that there's going to be another much bigger war in a minute. Angus is considering pushing his claim through his father, our father-in-law, to the High Kingship. And he does have a bit of support, especially from the Isles. He's going to push that in 8 months. Now, we could do some work to prevent that from firing. If we could revoke his titles, however, if we could defeat him and revoke his titles, I think we might... We let this go ahead. Do you know what? I don't think there's much we can do in 8 months. It's going ahead one way or another. An Irish civil war. There is a tremendous amount of gold coming back into the kingdom. That's just one of the 3 armies that are returning back. News has already made it to the kingdom that armies laden with gold are approaching. As we enter one of our dining halls, we find a diplomat, face up and slathered in soup, on one of my beds, totally nude. The two diplomats only arrived yesterday. I gave them permission for a good meal and some light entertainment, not a party fit to raise Teach Dún itself. We could give out to them, we could wordlessly leave the hole, we could make them pay for the damages. They would gain opinion, and we would gain mythic party aftermath. The party's not over yet. Somebody fill my goblet with soup. So there are our 3 armies back. 193 gold, 159 gold, 210 gold. Do you know what? That has taken a nice chunk out of our attempts to reach Illustrious. Do you know what? It actually hasn't. A 13-year-old arrives at our court with no money and claims to the Duchy of Brittany. We've a penalty at the moment for not having enough spouses. I would like to have kept those raids going. The army, we had 6,300, we could have kept moving around and gaining more prestige. We're losing prestige now because we've stood down our army. But the problem is, if this ultimatum kicks off in 3 months, I will need to have those forces in a position where I can deal as best as I can with whatever's going to be thrown at us. And here it is, the ruler of the Isles who brings the demand to us. With our forces increasing, it was getting very close to where they wouldn't have had support to carry this through, but they have done so, demanding that High Chieftain Angus, who rules Meath, that he has, by divine right, and control of one of the holy sites, and control of the Hall of Heroes. It does make sense that he would be the rightful ruler. We will not accept that, however. We will instead see an Irish civil war unleashed. What absolute and utter chaos. I've just called my wife the sister of the guy that this guy here is trying to install as King of Ireland. I have called her into this war on my side. Angus, who is the pretender to the throne of Ireland that the Isles is trying to install. Angus, of course, is not taking part in this war because he's my vassal, so he's just sitting there, sending me letters saying, I hope you win. Oh yeah, absolutely. The entire kingdom has been rent asunder. I didn't even know that we had this over here. We don't have a numerical advantage. They have a lot more troops than we do, but they're currently trying to get those troops activated, and I think we have deeper pockets. We're going to be able to call in a lot more mercenaries. So on the next episode, we're going to fight this civil war to keep Glasson on the throne of Ireland, on the throne of Scotland. If we lose this war, are we still King of Scotland? We're not going to lose this war. I guarantee it. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope that you will join me on the next one, because like I said, I need a lot of troops, and you're being sent to the front line.